I'm sure we've all had our moments with Nerdy Prudes Must Die after the Pro Shot was released in October. I definitely had mine. I indoctrinated my little brother into Star Kid and watched the show as many times as I was able, whilst devouring every Nightmare Time episode I hadn't seen. Unlike when I was surrounded by my peers, I had no one to talk to about the subject as in depth as I wanted to go, so I figured I'd come to you guys. Full disclosure though, I've been trying to finish this video for 4 months. I was supposed to release it last year, but due to multiple things getting in the way, I'm only just releasing it now. But what better time to release a video like this than Valentine's Day? I mean, I'm a romantic at heart, so let's do a ranking, figuring out who is the best couple in Hatchetfield. If you are blissfully unaware, Nerdy Prudes Must Die is part of an anthology series of musicals written by Nick and Matt Lang, performed by Starkid, that take place in the wonderful town of Hatchetfield, where absolutely nothing goes wrong. Ever.
Oh my god! His brain fell out!
The anthology series has 3 different musicals. The first is entitled The Guy Who Didn't Like Musicals, and came out in 2018. It stars a character named Paul, with the aforementioned quirk going through life by attending work and crushing on a barista named Emma, until one day a meteor strikes Hatchetfield and everyone inexplicably starts singing and dancing, like in a musical. Paul finds this very unsettling, and the story is about singing pod people trying to infect everyone. This might not sound scary, but think of the implications. The second musical, Black Friday, was released in 2019. This one takes place around Christmas, and everyone is obsessed with buying the oh-so-popular Wiggly doll for their kids. So obsessed, in fact, they lose their minds just trying to buy it. However, along the way, they just forget about buying it and form a cult to worship the doll instead. In this musical, we meet a new host of characters, but see some that we're familiar with, as they try to battle their way out of the mall and home to their families, with a Wiggly doll in hand. Wouldn't you want one of these? Don't you just want to tickle his belly well? And finally, the most recent of all, we have Nerdy Prudes Must Die. Nerdy Prudes is about a bunch of teenagers trying to get back at their high school bully. This unfortunately goes horribly wrong, and it turns out they might have turned him into a literal monster. The songs are cute though, I will admit. This is a series that's been running its course for a total of 6 years. That's not even including the series of script read-through episodes they released during lockdown, a series fondly entitled Nightmare Time. This series carries the same energy as the musicals and exists within the same universe. Each video carries back-to-back episodes and is roughly 2 hours long, so they really fed us with content and left us with very many questions. I think it's safe to say that the Hatchetfield universe is many people's Roman Empire. So we're gonna do a ranking, but rankings are hard. You have to figure out all your own criteria. I went through so many options. Like, what does it even mean to be the best couple in Hatchetfield? Maybe you can help me decide in the comments. But going forward, I will be giving my ranking of the best couples in Hatchetfield. I've chosen 10 in total. These will be couples who are confirmed as major characters and seen by us in a musical or Nightmare Time episode. These will be couples with confirmed and unconfirmed labels, as well as duos with chemistry who are always together. Romance is hard in Hatchetfield for a variety of reasons, but remember, this is just my opinion and all in good fun, okay? Spoilers ahead for all Hatchetfield content. If you haven't seen all that's available, it's all on YouTube now. I know that because I watched every single Nightmare Time episode in the span of 3 days. I was really sick. Also, it's good fun. You can always come back here afterwards. I'll be waiting for you. So, without further ado, let's start the ranking. Starting at the bottom, we have Frank and Sheila. They are a super random couple, especially if you haven't seen everything Hatchetfield has to offer, which is why I had the spoiler warning. Frank is a character we meet in Black Friday. He runs the store where everyone wants to get their Wiggly doll from, Toy Zone. This couple doesn't exist in that musical, however. He actually gets married in a separate Nightmare Time episode entitled Daddy. I'm not going to comment on that title. But Frank actually laments how online retailers like eBay and Amazon are taking his customers, and he's struggling to stay afloat.
Why would anyone come all the way to the mall when they could just order the same shit off of Amazon?
We don't speak that word. Don't even think about it.
That's when he meets Sheila Young, the rich, widowed mother of his best customer, Sherman Young. Sherman is pretty disturbed, so you can imagine what his mother is like. But Frank marries her for her money, to save his store and his toys for his loyal customers, like Sherman.
You should be ashamed of yourself, you disgusting little pervert! What's a grown man going to do with 850 dolls?
Well, one will stay in the box for posterity. One will be used exclusively for bath time.
This is unbelievable!
I will tickle one doll, and one doll
will tickle me.
This couple is at the bottom for what I feel are obvious reasons. They only meet once before Sheila offers Frank marriage in exchange for certain benefits. She'll fund his store and Sherman gets a new daddy. If you weren't aware, Sherman is in his 40s. I think that tells you everything you need to know. I don't really understand why she marries him, because she immediately starts to get jealous of Frank when she sees Sherman favoring him. In fact, she locks him up before too long and is content to leave him in the basement.
I bet you just loved that.
What? Having a grown man drool all over my shirt?
He only prefers you because I'm the hard ass who made him go to the doctor. Well, I'm sick of it, Frank. I can't be the only one doling out discipline. You're not allowed to sleep with me tonight.
Fine. I'll sleep in one of the other 20 rooms.
Oh, no. No, you're not. I don't know where you're going to sleep, but it won't be under my roof. Good night.
Why even bother getting married? Just stay a single mother if you want your 40-something-year-old son to favor you, you know? In terms of personal gain, Frank does do it for his business, and marriages like this used to be commonplace, so, you know, I can't fault him for that. And Sheila is very pretty, but they were never going to last. This Nightmare Time episode was very strange, though. I raised my eyebrows at the lengths, but let's move on. At number 9, we have Charlotte and Sam. We meet Charlotte and Sam in The Guy Who Didn't Like Musicals. We hear through a phone call that they are having marital issues.
Oh, hi, Sam. How are things down at the precinct? Well, I'm sorry to hear that. Well, my day's been Uh-huh. Oh, well, how late? Well, but sweetheart, it's cuddle night. Well, what do you mean, so what? The counselor says we should do it at least once a month. Yes, but honey, we skipped last month. Well, don't you think I'm tired too? All right, maybe tomorrow night then, huh? No, you're right. We should stick to the schedule. Next month it is. All right, well, you take care, Sam. And Sam, be careful because I love you. Sam?
We learn later on, though, that Sam is cheating on Charlotte with a young barista named Zoe. Plot twist, though, Charlotte is also cheating on Sam with a coworker at her office by the name of Ted Spankowski. Considering the length of the musical, we only see the two together briefly, enough for an infected Sam to show up trying to arrest Charlotte and her coworkers, intending to make them join the hive mind of singing pod people. And that song is lit. Ted hits him with a garbage can, though, knocking him unconscious, and they escape, tying him up. Charlotte, in front of Ted, remarks on how she should really stay by her husband's side in his time of crisis. I mean, his brain's fallen out of his head. When is a better time to be a wife?
Wait! Ted, my husband's brains fell out today. If I can't be a wife to him now, what kind of woman am I?
I don't know, Charlotte. I'm not your therapist.
It seems that she really wants the relationship to work despite being unhappy, which is quite sad. From their earlier phone conversation, Sam doesn't seem all that interested in fixing anything.
You know, maybe you should go back to fucking him, I know that's why you actually went to counseling.
I mean, that's not the only reason. I wanted to make things work with Sam. I love him. I know I shouldn't, but I do.
No, Charlotte, this guy is a scumbag, all right?
But as a pod person, well, he does sing a very romantic song to Charlotte, cajoling her into letting him go.
You tied up my heart, you tied me down. Now break me open with your love and mercy. Charlotte, you're breaking my heart, child. Got my feet to the fire, just let me go, and I love you.
I love you too, Sam, but I cannot let you go.
Charlotte, baby, apple of my eye. Don't you trust me?
Thereafter, he transforms her into one of the singing charlatans. I will say, however, that Sam is mighty supportive of his wife after transforming her, and she is very empowered by this, and they get points for that.
It is time to dance! Sorry to interrupt, but we got bones to buck. The time for chaos is long past overdue. Death isn't optional, in fact it's optimal. Your time is up and now we go through you. We tried to
Now we'll kill you with more than harmony. Just die.
Join us and die.
Charlotte.
Join us and die. Join us and die. All you gotta do is.
Number 8 is Zoe and Sam. That's right, plot twist, I have included the affair couple, most notably due to the fact that they share a Nightmare Time episode together where we see more of the relationship. Why didn't I add Ted and Charlotte, you ask? Well, the simple answer is because I didn't want to, that's why. Also, if I'm being honest, Ted and Charlotte are just the mirror opposite of Zoe and Sam, so they'd be tied pretty much anyway. Zoe and Sam appear together once in The Guy Who Didn't Like Musicals, but share more of a role in the Nightmare Time episode Honey Queen. Zoe participates in the Honey Queen pageant because she believes it will propel her career and help her get onto Broadway.
Honey Queen. That's my ticket out of this one-horse, podunk piece of shit motherfucking town.
And Sam is very supportive of this. He is with her every step of the way, going as far as telling off hecklers on her behalf to kidnapping a child of her competitors.
Hey, you sport. How you doing?
River backs away slowly. Sam advances.
Hey, don't be scared. I'm a cop.
He encourages her to be just as cutthroat, and as a man of the law, he is fully willing to abuse that law to support his girl, and that's really nice. Zoe, on the other hand, is clearly using him. He thinks that when she leaves Hatchetfield, he's going with her, but she knows he's not.
You know, every woman who's ever won this pageant got out of Hatchetfield and never looked back. On to bigger and better things. That's gonna be me.
You're gonna light up Broadway, Zoe. And you're taking me with you, right?
You're funny. Let me hold your gun again.
I think she just likes the idea of a guy in uniform and uses him for what he's worth. It's kind of sad, actually. Who knows if he's genuine in his support of her. But he does shoot another guy for her, so it's gonna hurt if she makes it to Broadway and leaves him. She indulges him, though, so there is that. Oh yeah, cats and kitties, I included this couple right here. At number 7, we have Tom and Car Jane. If you weren't aware, Tom is a character from Black Friday trying to get a Wiggly doll for his son, who's been sad since his mom died in a car crash. Her name was Jane. And as you might have guessed, she is turned into a car in a Nightmare Time episode called Car Jane. Hi guys, it's me from editing. I made a little mistake here, but I refer to this episode as Car Jane. It is not called that. It's called Jane is a Car. I'm going to show you the thumbnail, everything, and still refer to it as Car Jane. My apologies for that. Just know that that's not what I mean. Okay. I never thought we'd actually see Tom and Jane together, and technically we don't, but this episode is honestly so wild. As soon as I saw the title, I knew Tom was gonna try and have sex with a car. Looking at you, Nick and Matt. It is mentioned in a live stream that in the episode, Jane might be warped personality-wise from who she actually would have been, as she's been a car for about a year, but I'm rolling with it. Jane seems a little murderously inclined as a car, but this is only because she wants another body. That's right, she's found a way to move her consciousness from the car to someone else. After revealing herself as a car to Tom, she immediately tells him to get inside her so they can go stalk women and find a body that he's attracted to. At least she's taken his opinion into consideration.
I'll make this easy for you. Okay. Look at the one with the clipboard, asking for donations.
Tom surveys the boardwalk and spots the woman Jane's referring to.
You mean that Greenpeace girl?
Yes. Okay, I'll start. I find her very attractive. I like her hair. I like that she cares about the environment. I bet she is a vegetarian. I like her. I'm feeling her whole earthy vibe. Huh? So? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, she's pretty. Is that what you want from me?
So, we're in agreement. Huh?
Yes.
Okay. Is there anyone else you prefer over her? That's cool.
No, not really.
Okay, good. All right, Tom, follow her.
Okay.
During this time, she comes off as very controlling, directing his willing self to do things he knows are wrong, like trying to run people over.
Close the distance. Come on, step on it.
Tom gives it some gas. The engine growls. The Greenpeace girl turns back. Her eyes go wide, and she starts to flee the approaching Mustang.
Shit. She sees us. Quick. Tom, now.
Now what?
Run her over.
What?
Hit her, Tom! She's running! Hit her, quick! Before she gets away!
To give her the benefit of the doubt, let's call her authoritative instead of controlling. I remember the lines describing her as very put together. It makes sense that she's used to having a goal and being in charge. Tom seems like a very straightforward person. When it comes to Jane, I guess he's very willing to do what she says, maybe because he's used to doing so and respects that they're still married. From this episode alone, though, it seems more like he's tied to her by what they used to share when she was alive more than anything else.
All right. If this is what it takes to bring you back, I'll do it.
They aren't really a team, and they don't really add to each other in any way. I think what holds them together is just their marriage and the fact that it would be better for their son Tim if Jane was able to come back into their lives somehow. Anyway, I thought it would be funny to put them on the list. A couple that shows the craziness of Hatchetfield. Moving on. On the flip side, at number 6, we have Tom and Becky Barnes. I like Tom and Becky, but I will admit there isn't a lot we know about their relationship. Tom and Becky are both introduced in Black Friday trying to get Wiggly dolls. They aren't together at the start, but form some sort of attachment while everything is going on. It's clear that they have a nostalgia-driven relationship, considering they were together back in high school, but despite the time that has passed, they're still pretty strong together.
Huh. I didn't even realize. I was just trying to find someplace safe, and I dragged us to our old seats. It must have been second nature.
No kidding.
Yeah, look, G7 and 8.
Wait, I wonder if it's still here. Yeah! Becky, look! You remember when we carved that?
Yeah. It's a penis.
Yeah, well, we were kids. And if I could go back, I would carve something nice.
Yeah, like T&B forever.
With as little as we know about them, they could be considered the healthiest couple in Hatchetfield, and that's saying something. There's nothing too supernatural affecting their relationship, unless you count Jane. Becky seems super enthusiastic around Tom, which is so cute, and she likes to talk about her job at the hospital, and plus she's good with Tim. We don't know a lot about Becky except for the fact that she had an abusive husband and might have killed him in the woods. But at least Tom makes her happy, you know, she deserves that. Can't wait for her to have her Nightmare Time episode. Becky Barnes climbed a tree. I don't know if that's the melody, I just wanted to sing it. Tom seems happy around Becky and feels really conflicted when Jane is a car as well, since he started seeing Becky before the car shows up. He's committed to his wife but doesn't want to hurt Becky either. I think he's better off with Becky in that scenario though, to be fair. All in all, as a fledgling couple, they'd be quite cute, which begs the question as to why they broke up.
Well, we thought it'd be forever.
That might be key information further down the line. Until then, I'm happy to keep them here because they aren't detrimental to each other. Well, here we are at the halfway point at number 5 with Gerald and Linda. Now this relationship is very interesting because we don't see them together in the first show they are introduced in, but get a sense of what they might be like together, only to see in a Nightmare Time episode that we were wrong. Linda is introduced in Black Friday as a very rich, very selfish woman, and we only hear about Gerald through a one-sided phone conversation she has with him the entire time.
Shit, it's Gerald!
Through their conversation, Gerald comes off as kind of an accessory to Linda, someone who is simply there to do things for her, but has the title of husband. He does as he's told. End of story.
Oh my God, look at this line. No, Gerald, keep the car running. I don't want to come out there in 10 minutes to a cold car.
When we meet them in the episode Honey Queen, however, it becomes a bit clearer that what we thought their relationship was may not be the case. Gerald is a doctor and seems to be his own person. I thought he might be a pathetic man who just does what his wife says, but he actually seems kind of grumpy and does argue with her when she tells him what to do. One example being when she brings up going to visit her father, who they both hate. And by the way, when I say pathetic man, what I should have said was the stereotype of a man who has the stereotypical bossy wife and comes across as unassertive and just does what he's told. That's what I mean.
What? I'm working.
Get your ass in the car, Gerald.
I don't want to go.
I don't care.
What are we, some kind of masochists? I don't like him. You don't like him?
No, I love him.
Well, then you go. I'll see him at his funeral.
You're just jealous because I respect him. Now get off the damn phone.
Through this episode, we see Gerald do a lot for Linda, not just because she tells him to, but it seems to be also because he cares for her. He even remarks on when he fell for her, saying it was when she sabotaged a skier and nearly killed them to win a competition.
You remember that skiing competition in college? Remember that uppity snow bunny broad? I'm so cute. I'm gonna win. You remember what you did to her skis?
Prove I did anything. The cops sure couldn't.
I knew right then. You were the woman I would spend the rest of my life with.
He loves Linda as she is, and despite her selfish and self-obsessed personality, Linda loves Gerald. She says as much at the end of the episode.
I want to thank you, Gerald, for believing in me. I know I'm not the easiest person to live with. I can be cold and cruel. And I don't remember the last time I said it, but I love you, Gerald. I just wanted to tell you that.
He might not have heard her because he got shot and everything. I think there are only 2 couples in all of Hatchetfield to say they love each other, and that says a lot. Back again, there's actually 3 couples that say I love you to each other, not 2, and I'll bring them up a little bit later in the video, but yeah. In terms of the couples in Hatchetfield, I actually found myself liking Gerald and Linda's dynamic quite a lot. It surprised even me, but I don't think they're the best. Afraid that's not the case. I know, you're probably shocked to see them this low. I gotta be frank with you though, as enduring as they are through each timeline, I actually don't care too much about Paul and Emma. I think I actually went back and forth on whether I cared more about Gerald and Linda than I did about Paul and Emma. Actually, yeah, I do care about Gerald and Linda more than I care about them. I was gonna be kind, but this is my ranking. Paul and Emma are boring. As far as couples are concerned, they have more going on individually than they actually do together. Paul and Emma star is the main focus of the guy who didn't like musicals. It is established early on that Paul has a crush on Emma but doesn't have the confidence to ask her out. Paul and Emma don't really get together in the musical either, despite nearly kissing, but they do seem to have some sort of relationship in Black Friday. The next place we see Paul and Emma is in a Nightmare Time episode entitled Forever and Always. Technically, in this timeline, Emma is an android and Paul is a clone, but they are described as being exact, complete replicas of the original Paul and Emma. This is the first time I see Emma showing any genuine affection for Paul, to be honest. We hear their vows, we learn the type of feeling she had about love before she met Paul.
Here we are. You know, I remember the night before my sister Jane got married. I was on the phone with her, trying to talk her out of it. Sorry, Tom. You're really gonna let this hairy Yeti man hog half your bed, filling it with his farts for the rest of your life? And that's how it was for the rest of her life. But I don't think she'd have it any other way. If I could go back in time and talk to a younger Emma Perkins, I'm sure she'd tell me there's no worse fate than settling down and getting married in Hatchetfield. To which I'd say, could be worse. You could be getting hitched in Clivesdale. And I'd tell her, relax, you haven't met Paul yet. But now I have. And I find myself doing things I never thought I would. I think it's because there's this part of me I didn't know before. I never used to think about the future. Now I think about it all the time. I want to thank you for introducing me to that Emma. I know who I am now. I'm Emma Perkins. And I love you, Paul Matthews.
It's cute, I guess, considering she never pictured herself getting married. But even in this episode, they spend more time apart than they do together. Even in the Nightmare Time episode Perky's Buds, Paul and Emma aren't together. So the couple certainly endure, which might be nice for some people. Meeting each other in Nerdy Prudes Must Die as well. But there isn't anything particularly endearing about their relationship. At least not for me. At least Tom and Becky like each other's company, and Zoe and Sam are shown to support one another. Emma doesn't even want to call Paul her boyfriend.
Who are you?
I'm Paul. I'm Emma's boyfriend.
Well, we haven't put a label on it yet, so.
But we are intimate.
I don't know. I think they're overhyped. I think they're liked more because they are together in every timeline than the fact that they work well together. Also because they are the first couple we meet in all of Hatchetfield, and there's that callback factor whenever they appear. You know what? The more I talk about them, the lower they go, so let me just stop. At most, I'll put them ahead of Tom and Carjane. You know, gotta put respect on the couple. Now, before we get to our top 3, I just wanted to take a moment to mention a couple that I thought should be on the list, but ultimately didn't fit in the end, for whatever reason. I'm talking about Boy Cherry and Girl Cherry! These two are fucking deranged, and I actually kind of love them. We meet them in the Nightmare Time episode Abstinence Camp, and their song together makes me happy for some reason. They're so stupid. Technically, Boy Jerry and Girl Jerry are not in a relationship, but they have a lot between them, including a child, so it's clear there is something there. Not to mention they run the abstinence camp I Don't Want to Bang together, constantly blurring the lines of celibacy and intense sexual tension between themselves, so there is definitely something there.
He pulls her closer.
That's what you are, isn't it? A dirty girl.
She wraps her arms around him, burying her nails in his back.
Yes. I'm a dirty girl.
Girl Jerry does not seem in control. She takes everything very seriously in such a melodramatic way.
Jerry screams.
Boy Jerry is always comforting her, and I could say it seems like they have a weird codependent relationship if they had one. Officially. Constantly comforting her, Boy Jerry also seems to be manipulating her by bringing up her past mistakes when she wants to do the right thing in tough situations.
That's it. I'm calling the police.
Girl Jerry goes for the phone when Boy Jerry catches her arm.
I don't think you've thought this through, Girl Jerry. You think they're just gonna come here and cart off the bodies? No. They're gonna poke around. And they're gonna find everything. You ready for that? For the whole town to know what you did? Dirty girl.
Doesn't seem like a great relationship, to be honest. Personally, I think Boy Jerry likes the power he holds over Girl Jerry, but I don't think he has good intentions. I think he just wants another good bonk and has managed to drag Girl Jerry along for the ride as she is painfully naive. They really should just get married. They're both adults. That wouldn't diminish their role in the camp. It would just free them up to look after the kids more after getting rid of whatever urges they have. Anyway, I could not mention them. So here we are. The top 3. It was hard to rank this high because I have a soft spot for all the couples I'm about to mention, and I want them to all have happy endings, but ultimately, rank of 3rd best couple in Hatchetfield goes to Stephanie and Peter. Despite being the main characters in Nerdy Prudes Must Die, we as the audience, possibly, first meet Steph and Pete in abstinence camp. Steph gets sent there because Grace thinks she's pregnant and tells on her, and Peter ends up there because his family just make him go. I can't remember, I think maybe it's because they knew what Peter was like. No, not Peter. What Tom was like. Tom is just wild. In abstinence camp, Steph and Pete are quite nice to each other despite their differences. They both hate the camp for different reasons and help each other out along the way. They also have the interesting habit of pushing each other to do things they wouldn't normally, like break rules and shower together in the boys' bathroom. There also doesn't seem to be much pushback from either of them when this happens either. From abstinence camp alone, they aren't the couple I would have looked out for, but they seem to just gravitate lackadaisically towards each other, if that makes sense. Also, Nick Lang is so cute in this role. In Nerdy Prudes, they are in 2 different social hierarchies. Steph is popular, while Peter is a nerd, and they have never really talked to each other before. What gets the ball rolling in their relationship is Steph needing help cheating on a test. Peter, having been asked to swap with her, doesn't say no, getting them both in trouble.
Peter! Oh God, butt out, Chastity!
After that, Steph continues showing up in his life with reasons that are academic, but it all becomes something more. In the musical, Steph also remarks that she thinks Pete is funny, and he takes a great pride in that because he didn't know he was funny. He goes on to wonder if he might not be super nerdy at all, and might actually be an interesting person thanks to her. That's what I love about their relationship. Throughout their story, they lift each other up. Steph helps him feel more confident just from small remarks about what she likes about him. And then, because of that, he stands up to the high school bully Max Jaegerman of all people, which he's never thought of doing before. He also helps Steph with her grades and remarks how she's smarter than she thinks she is, which I also love. In their happy ending, the song The Best of You, they both sing, "It's like you test me, but not to best me," which is so cute and is another example of how they push each other to be better versions of themselves. Their relationship definitely hinges on that, and it makes them the 2nd strongest contender for the healthiest couple in Hatchetfield. I also feel the need to mention their great duet, If I Loved You, because it's just so them. The song is a fight between the two, but I hear it as a subtle way for them to mock each other for different reasons. What comes across for me in the song is Steph mocking Pete because he's too afraid to act on his feelings for her, and she's always the one to take the first step, pushing him out of his comfort zone, while Pete mocks Steph because he wants things to stay the same and doesn't think he needs to be with Steph because of his role as a nerd. I also really like the line, "If I loved you like I'm capable of," because it exemplifies how the two are holding back and want to give more than they already are, but they won't, or they can't. Pete's holding back because he doesn't seem right for her, and Steph's holding back because he won't admit how he feels, because she cares about consent, you know? In the song Cool As I Think I Am reprise, love a good fucking reprise, this is the first time we hear of Peter's feelings. They are still singing in a sense of denial, but we know it's the truth because of what they have to do to fix everything that's happened. I think it's so sweet that his last words about her are,
If I loved you, you would know it. If I loved you, I couldn't show it. If I loved you like you should be loved, loved you more than the stars above, loved you like I could have. Whoa. I'd have to let you go.
you know the depths of his feelings because there's regret in his voice. He was too scared to do all those things for her, show all those feelings to her, and now he's gonna die. That's just so heartbreakingly beautiful. And then he asks her to homecoming. Cry. Yeah, so I love them. I hope we see more of them. They deserve the world. This was also hard. I love Lex and Ethan's relationship. We first meet Lex and Ethan in Black Friday. They are scheming to steal a Wiggly doll so they can sell it and get out of Hatchetfield and go to California. Lex is going to be an actress because she's had practice. Lex works at her less than stellar job as a Toy Zone employee, which is Frank's business. Remember Frank? You remember Frank, right? While Lex works, Ethan looks after her little sister Hannah. He's very sweet to Hannah, even though she isn't really his responsibility. But I take his care of Hannah as an extension of his care for Lex. During Black Friday, Lex and Ethan have a Bonnie and Clyde energy that is sort of cute. They just want to escape their current circumstances and are willing to break the law to do it. They're not hurting anybody. Ethan unfortunately dies in Act 1, but he does make the most romantic remark before he goes.
Lex, I'll get you to California, Lex. Then you don't gotta cry so much no more.
He's dead.
If that's not love, I don't know what is. Black Friday isn't so much about their relationship as much as it is about Wiggly, so we don't see them together much, except for their song California MIA. We next see Lex and Ethan briefly at the beginning of Nightmare Time episode Jane is a Car. Ethan is the one working on Tom's car from the accident that killed his wife, the one we know is Car Jane. Lex sits in the car as he works on it, and at one point he asks her to rev the engine. She does this, but the car somehow comes out of park and nearly hits him. He's understandably angry about this. She swears that the car was in park, but he looks in and reiterates to her that it's not. He's angry because he could have died, but when he sees how shaken up Lex is, he lets it go and instead comforts her.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to yell. I could have died.
I swear it was in park.
She buries her face into his chest and looks back at the Fox Bunny Mustang. The engine growls. Ethan rubs her back.
It's okay, babe. Come on. You're shaking. You're shaking.
Next, Lex and Ethan are mentioned in another Nightmare Time episode, The Witch in the Web. This episode is more about Hannah, but we are told that Lex and Ethan were both arrested for trying to sell pain pills, probably in a bid to escape Lex's circumstances just like they wanted to in Black Friday. At least we know they're together in prison. After this, the most current event we see Lex and Ethan in is the Nightmare Time episode Yellow Jacket. This is where we see more of the relationship, as well as how adorable Joey is as Ethan. Let's just stop for a minute to appreciate that. In Yellow Jacket, Lex seems to have moved in with Ethan and Hannah, becoming Hannah's sole guardian while still living in Hatchetfield. She's very stressed about the whole arrangement, worrying about bills and work, getting her high school diploma. I just want to point out that Ethan graduated high school despite showing time and time again that he has terrible spelling and grammar. Anyway.
L-I-E-R, babe.
We get it, Ethan. You're a good speller.
Ethan, right off the bat, is very sweet and well-meaning. He cares about Lex and Hannah a lot. He even remarks on how he thinks of Hannah as his own kid, which is just so freaking cute. He's always trying to lessen Lex's load, though he doesn't always do it in what she considers to be the best way. But he's trying. He has good intentions. But as we all know, intent and impact are not the same thing. I will say, however, the only thing that bothers me about Ethan is that he has an odd habit of correcting Lex. As time goes on in different episodes, it becomes progressively more belittling. He's not very smart to begin with, but sometimes when he corrects her, it's not in a supportive way, but in a condescending way, like with the car. I know that was a situation where he was in danger, but there are other moments as well. Maybe it's just me.
Look at this, Lex. You looking? This is a P. This is a D. You see the difference?
In Black Friday, he also mentions how he doesn't want Lex to know he's broke.
I thought my old jalopy weren't gonna make it all the way to California, so we sunk $1,000 into it. Look, don't tell your sister I got no dough. She'll lose respect for me.
Something about that makes me think he wants to be a provider in their relationship, and that's fine, but he just never becomes one, and he'd rather lie to her. I don't know, it feels kind of odd. We see that he works at his dad's auto shop in Carjane, but in Yellow Jacket, he seems to have a lot of free time in comparison to Lex. Lex is the one stressed about bills, not him. It's like he wants his cake, but won't pay for it. Lex, on the other hand, is with Ethan. She signed up to be in this relationship, but we know, it is very clear, that Hannah is her top priority, and always will be, even if she's in a relationship with Ethan. It kind of feels like she takes him for granted sometimes, considering he helps her with childcare a lot. In Black Friday, she seems happy to have him around, but in Yellow Jacket, their relationship is very different. She gets annoyed with him pretty early on in the episode and kind of stays that way for most of it.
How you doing, babe?
Fine.
Lex doesn't look up from a pile of books she's studying.
That's good.
Ethan leans back on the dilapidated sofa, but can't relax.
Oof. Drip, drip, drip. You hear that? It's driving me nuts.
The faucet leaks?
Yeah.
I'm paying for that water. How many dollars do you think I'm wasting every day on that thing?
I don't know, babe. Why don't you fix it?
Fix it? Now you're telling me to fix it?
I didn't tell you to do anything. I just said it drips.
I have been working my ass off since I was 16 years old. In one day, my entire life savings are gone. I'm now $20,000 in debt. I need a better job, which I can't get because I don't have a high school diploma. I can't get a diploma unless I pass an equivalency test. I can't pass the test because I have no time to study because I'm working at my shitty job. Now you want me to be a plumber? Is there anything else I can do for you, sir? Do you have any more shit for me?
All right, I'll fix the fucking faucet.
He gets up and heads for the kitchen, turning back to ask,
Hey babe, you seen the wrench?
Lex grabs it from the tool bag and throws it across the room. Ethan ducks. Bang! It punches into the wall.
Thank you.
In the first scene, she's looking at all the bills she has to pay, and he walks in to tell her she should fix the broken faucet. She goes off on him, talking about everything she has to deal with, and in the end, he gets up to fix the sink, but this is a very typical mental load conversation. I applaud it being included, but it serves as an indicator of what Ethan might be like to cohabitate with. Clearly not all the time, because he does his fair share, but Lex is pretty stressed for most of the episode, and like I said, seems less appreciative of Ethan in many ways. One example is when she feels like she's forgetting something on her way to work. He says he'll take care of anything she's forgotten, so she doesn't have to worry about it, and I think that's sweet, but despite the sweet gesture, when he tells her he loves her and goodbye, she doesn't reply.
Okay, I open today, I get off at 6, then I gotta haul ass to the community center for my high set. Leftovers are in the fridge. Mail that rent check. What else? What am I forgetting? I'm forgetting something.
Babe, you focus on the test. Anything you forget, I'll handle it.
So I did forget something? Now I'm gonna fixate on that and chemistry's gonna be gone. Are you gonna wish me luck? Don't, you'll jinx it.
Lex heads for the door.
I love you.
Mail that check.
And she's gone.
Breaks my heart. In the end, the thing that Lex has forgotten is Hannah's birthday. Ethan does take Hannah out to celebrate, but when they arrive home, they find Lex waiting for them. She's pretty mad because when she remembered it was Hannah's birthday, she got so distracted that she wasn't able to focus on anything, including her test, which she walked out on. She blames Ethan for all of this. Poor guy. I mean, to be fair, he could have sent her a text being like, I saw you didn't remember Hannah's birthday, but don't worry, I'll distract her, so do good on your test, and we'll celebrate later, but he doesn't do that.
The two head into the apartment. There, they find Lex, waiting in the living room with one half-filled balloon floating pathetically by a paper plate topped with a Hostess cupcake.
Oh, hey babe. You're home.
Where were you two?
We went to Pizza Pete's for Hannah's B-Day. Oh, we caught you a Pokemon.
He holds up the stuffed animal. Lex sees the bundle of prizes in Hannah's arms.
You went out? And you bought Hannah an iPad?
We won it.
Good. Good. Did you have fun?
Mm-hmm.
That's great. I'm glad you remembered Hannah's birthday. Would have been nice if you filled me in on the plan this morning.
Babe, you had so much going on. I just wanted you to focus on the test. And
well, you do know what's best for me. Because I got to the test, I remembered what day it was. I couldn't concentrate thinking we both forgot, and I failed.
Well, you don't know that. It always seems worse than it is.
Oh, I know I failed. Because I didn't finish the test. I got mad and ripped it into little pieces. Then I ran across town to Party Zone just as it was closing, but the liquor store on the corner had this one crappy balloon and this cupcake, and that's the best I can do. Happy birthday, Hannah. I'm sorry it's so shitty.
When their money troubles appear to be over, Lex seems to soften towards Ethan. In light of this, her stress was definitely a contributing factor to why she was treating him that way, but the warmth she shows him is short-lived because Ethan makes a mistake. I mean, it's not his fault, but he makes it one nonetheless, and he puts Hannah in danger. Lex is understandably super pissed with him, and their relationship is back on the rocks. But she doesn't even know that he brought her a ring and was trying to propose to her. How soul-crushing is that? To reiterate, I think considering everything I've seen about their relationship, Lex definitely loves Hannah more than she loves Ethan. And why wouldn't she? Hannah is her family, her little sister. But it's still sad to see how much Ethan cares about Lex, only to be sidelined when something happens to Hannah. It is his fault, but still. I think I like them so much because of Ethan's devotion. The way he looks out for her is so sweet, because she's had such a tumultuous life, and she's doing her best. He's invested in her happiness, but Lex will choose Hannah every time. My bias in relationships is a man who likes their woman more. As an added note, however, I realized that Lex didn't even comment on Ethan's death in Black Friday. She finds Hannah and then that's it. She doesn't even ask about him. How rude. I think the reason I rated their relationship so highly is that I just want them to have a happy ending. But no one deserves a happy ending more than whoever I put at number 1. Before I get to number 1, just to go back to what I mentioned earlier, with like only one couple saying I love you. Basically, when I watched Yellow Jacket, something was wrong with my internet because it skipped to the end of the episode after Lex and Ethan just went to bed with her like really angry at him. She didn't say anything. And I didn't realize there was more of it until I went to make this video. And so when I went to make this video, I saw the end of the episode where she and Hannah like ditch him, but she does tell him that she loves him, which is it makes it so much more sad. I thought that like that was the end cliffhanger and there was nothing else, but the truth of the matter is that's not true. They left Hatchetfield and she says I love you and they leave him. Yeah, so that makes 3 couples that say I love you, just for the record. I know. Realistically, I know they aren't together. Realistically, if they didn't exist, Lex and Ethan would be at the top, but they do exist, and they are placed together. And doggone it, I want them to be happy. Maybe this ranking shouldn't be who is the best couple in Hatchetfield, but which couple deserves to be happy in Hatchetfield. Miss Holloway and Duke aren't in a romantic relationship, but they want to be in one. Or at least Duke does. We meet Duke and Miss Holloway in Nightmare Time exclusively. The first one is The Witch in the Web, and the second is Killer Track. Witch in the Web is more about Hannah, as I said, but Duke is the social worker working with Hannah, and he's the one who calls Miss Holloway up to help with Hannah's nightmares. He also calls her for help with Rose, the person affected in Killer Track. Turns out they've spent a while helping kids with problems and nightmares. And what's a purer thing to bring people together than helping kids? The way the Duke looks at Holloway. The way that Duke expresses how much he loves Holloway. The way that they can never be together because of a deal made by Miss Holloway. The way they look at the fireworks and you know that he's going to forget about her because no one is ever allowed to remember anything about Miss Holloway. Breaks my fucking heart, I gotta tell you. Nothing is more romantic than being tragically fated.
No, that's not fair.
You can't make me forget you. I couldn't forget you. Even if I tried, God, you know how I feel about you.
Duke, relax. I'm trying to say goodbye. Can I?
Miss Holloway leans closer. He closes his eyes.
I know that they constantly say that everyone is in love with Miss Holloway, but Duke was with her. They worked together. Duke actually cares when Holloway decides to sacrifice herself for Rose and die.
Miss Holloway, can we have a chat?
Sure.
You didn't tell me the whole plan. That you were gonna take the curse onto yourself?
Because if I did, you wouldn't have brought her here, would you?
This song, whatever it is, it has killed over 30 people. That we know of.
Exactly. That's why I have to stop it.
Stop it? We don't know what it is.
I will know when it comes for me.
When it comes for you. What if you can't stop it? What if it's I don't know, a ghost or something?
If it's a ghost, I'll trap it in this jar. That's easy. I'm not worried about that.
And what if it's one of those monsters from your book?
Duke, I'm not gonna lie to you. There are things out there that are above my pay grade. But if something happens to me, I want you to read this.
From her apron, she hands him a sealed envelope with a note inside.
Don't read it now. Only if something happens.
Something like what?
You'll know.
He's so torn up. It's just, ugh. And yeah, Holloway might come across as indifferent, but considering how long she might have been alive, she's tried over and over to tell people about who she is, and they can never remember. So of course she's a little indifferent.
We've been talking for hours, Duke. You just don't remember.
But that doesn't mean she doesn't like Duke. She's shown Duke the Black Book, a book that she safeguards, a book she clearly won't just let anyone see. She trusted Duke with her dead body. The way Duke says hiya, darling.
Hiya, Duke.
Hey, darling.
They just deserve to be together. I know she calls him a friend in the end, but god damn it, Kim and Kurt are still cute, and I won't have anyone telling me otherwise. Duke and Holloway deserve to be happy, and that's the end of it. Duke and Holloway, out of all the terrible timelines, death and destruction at the hands of the Lords in Black and other factors, deserve to be happy, because if they were allowed to be happy, they would most definitely be the best couple in all of Hatchetfield.
Unknown. Just run away with me, you won't feel so alone.
So, in conclusion, I just really wanted to deep dive into the couples of Hatchetfield. They all have weird dynamics that by normal standards would be red flag central, but some of them are true of heart and pure of intention, and if they just didn't live in Hatchetfield, I'm sure they'd have happier lives. As happy as they could have lives. This world is not kind. But I hope you liked the ranking. I had fun. I'd love to hear what you thought. I'd also love to hear who you think the best couple in Hatchetfield is, or who you think deserves to be happy when all is said and done. This isn't a hard and fast list. I'm pretty sure my mind will change after this video is published, because I just can't help myself. But that's a reminder that this isn't to be taken too seriously. But it is a testament to how well Nick and Matt Lang have written their Hatchetfield characters, and how well the Star Kid cast have played those characters. I feel so connected to them, and I want them to be happy, and I'm sure you do too. I'm invested in their lives, the twists and turns, and I don't want Hatchetfield to end yet. In the most recent live stream, they said they needed the hype for them to keep making these stories, and I hope this video adds to it. So make sure you like and subscribe, and make as much noise as possible about Hatchetfield. Until then, I'll see you later.